to show you how to make a striped number cake topper and some fondant curlies. So I do have Tylose powder mixed into my fondant to help it set hard. I'm using a strip cutter for this. I rolled my fondant out pretty thin and I'm just pressing this fondant into the strip cutter. This fondant is a little soft, so I just wanted to show you what happens when the fondant is soft. So I'm using my tool just to get clean cuts and then running my hand over it. And then when you smack it out, it's all supposed to come out, but this fondant stuck. So I'm just using my needle tool and I'm pulling these out very gently so I don't distort them. This purple fondant was the right consistency. So once I did this process on it and smacked it onto there, it all came out. So you need the fondant not to be too soft to be able to do this. I measured my cake and I printed that number out the size I wanted it to be. I have some thin white fondant and I'm getting water all onto this fondant. And then I'm going to stick these down. You can do horizontal, vertical, or on an angle. I decided to go with horizontal stripes and I'm making sure the one underneath it is touching the one above it. And I'm just using that strip cutter because it's a straight edge, just making sure that all of these are straight. So I'm just alternating all of these colors, again, making sure they're touching one another. And once I'm all done, I'm going to stick that number on top. Again, you could do it on an angle, you could do it vertical, horizontal. I'm going with horizontal. Then I'm going to take my Dresden tool and carefully trace the outer edge of this number so that line transfers onto the fondant. Don't cut through the fondant. Do you see how it drags? What I'm doing is I'm pushing the knife down through there and then I will slide it up to get the cut. This way it's not going to drag the lines and distort them. Once I have that all done, I'm going to remove that and just take my fingers and smooth my cuts. You could put it on the cake just like this, but this is going on the top of the cake. So I have some thicker pink fondant getting some water behind it. When you put that down, make sure those lines are straight and it's not distorted as you move it. And then I'm going to cut an even border around here. Since this is a thicker piece of fondant, I'm just sticking the tip of my knife in there just to get a guideline cut. And then once I have that guideline cut, I'm sticking the tip all the way down to the cutting board to cut this out. With that guideline cut, it's going to prevent me from distorting the top edge of the fondant. I get a cleaner cut. And then that looks gross. So I need to take my fingers and my tools and just smooth out the edges. This is going on the top of the cake, so it needs to look pretty from the front and the back. And then I want to get a skewer in here. So I wet that skewer and I'm screwing it in here, just making sure it's not poking out the front or the back. And I'm going to leave that out to dry. And I didn't want to waste these extra pieces of fondant, so I just cut angles on the ends so they come to a point, and I'm just wrapping them around my Dresden tool to get these little fondant curlies. And how adorable is this? And I do this technique all the time, so you can change it up a little bit. Think outside of the box. So for these, I did horizontal stripes, and this one, I didn't only do the stripe number, but I did the lettering as well using the same technique. This one, I did the stripes on an angle, and on this one, I don't have it as a topper. I just have it on a thin piece of black fondant on the front of the cake. So the options are endless with this technique. You can really think outside of the box and maybe do squares or circles instead of stripes and really make it your own.